welcome to NTD China News. I'm Karen Chang. Making headlines this Friday, April 26th. The French president meets with Chinese leaders, clenching trade deals and making a mention of human rights. China's bird flu spreads to southeastern Fujian Province, and counting the losses of Saturday's Lushan earthquake, but are officials overstating damages? Since Xi Jinping became the head of China's government in March, no leader of a major Western country has visited China, that is, until now. The French president made his first official trip to China, and it seems to have been a fruitful venture.
Since Communist Party head Xi Jinping became leader of China's government, he's been building economic and political ties around the world. Yesterday, French President Francoise Hollande made his first state visit to China. He is there to establish a sustainable partnership with China and boost trade ties. The visit was significant in that Hollande is the first leader of a major Western country to travel to China since Xi assumed power.
It's through politics that we can get to the economy, and it's not simply us talking about contracts. Our trade, which, by the way, we give a great deal of attention.
France racked up a whopping $34 billion trade deficit with China last year, and Hollande says he hopes to change that.
Because, as I said, we cannot accept that there be a structural deficit of our foreign trade with China of 25 to 26 billion euros per year. As for human rights, principles of democracy, they are a part of the dialogue that we have.
Human rights have always been a source of contention between China and Western nations. The French government has been particularly vocal about China's poor human rights record. The Chinese regime avoids the issue, saying human rights are an internal matter. In 2008, China canceled an EU summit when former French President Nicolas Sarkozy met with exiled Tibetan spiritual leader, the Dalai Lama. Chinese and French leaders also signed several business deals, including an $8 billion purchase of 60 Airbus passenger planes. That effectively ended what Airbus called a Chinese embargo on French planes after France tried to make Chinese airlines part of a carbon trading scheme. France decided to lift its regulations on foreign airlines till November after more than 24 countries complained.
Territorial disputes over islands in the South China Sea have made things tense between China and the Philippines. Today, the Chinese regime rebuffed the Philippines' attempt to have the matter addressed by a UN arbitration tribunal.
The Philippines have pushed for international intervention in a South China Sea islands dispute. It's unnerved the Chinese regime. It insisted today that it would not accept any international arbitration over the matter. China's foreign ministry slammed Manila's proposal for a UN ruling on its claims to the Spratly Islands and other interests in the area. That request was made in January. Manila said on Thursday that a UN arbitration court had set up the tribunal. The Chinese regime claims almost the entire South China Sea for itself. It's maintained that it's only willing to negotiate with competing nations on a bilateral basis. The South China Sea is believed to be rich in gas and fishing resources. The area is also claimed by Vietnam, Brunei, Malaysia, and Taiwan. Yesterday, leaders in ASEAN, the 10-member Association of Southeast Asian Nations, said they wanted urgent talks with China to find a resolution to the territorial disputes. And the Philippines have been leading the charge for an alliance against China.
The time was not ripe. We're hoping that the time now.
China's new strain of bird flu is continuing to spread, with the first case in China's southeastern region reported today. State-run Xinhua news agency says a man in coastal Fujian Province has tested positive for the H7N9 virus. The man in his 60s was admitted to hospital on Tuesday with coughs and a fever. Xinhua did not say whether the man had come into contact with poultry or birds. The new case in Fujian follows the first H7N9 case in Taiwan earlier this week. The man developed severe pneumonia several days after returning from China. According to Taiwanese media, his condition has worsened. Researchers think they have found the source of the virus. According to a study published on Thursday, samples of a virus found in a chicken at a poultry market matched exactly that of a patient. But how the virus is transmitted remains a mystery. According to the World Health Organization, almost half of China's reported cases had no contact with birds or poultry. So far, H7N9 has killed at least 24 people in China out of 114 cases reported. It's been almost a week since a magnitude 6.6 earthquake struck Sichuan's Lushan County. Recovery is underway and authorities are putting together estimates for the economic losses that has been suffered. But estimates put out so far have raised some eyebrows.
Authorities in Sichuan Province are counting the losses from Saturday's powerful earthquake that struck Ya'an City. But it's not just the loss of life they're worried about. By Thursday, the three hardest-hit counties in the city have reported a staggering 169 billion yen in estimated economic losses. That's around $27 billion. The massive amount, which includes both direct and indirect losses, is raising eyebrows. According to 21st Century Business Herald, 169 billion yen is 21 times more than the 2012 GDP for the three counties of Lushan, Baoxing, and Tianquan. Authorities have stressed that the numbers are an estimate only, but some netizens have questioned whether authorities are using this opportunity to overstate damages, so they will get more relief fund from central authorities.
It's quite a ridiculous amount. They're probably asking for more to spend. The Chinese Red Cross claim that each tent cost them 10,000 yuan. Nothing's out of the ordinary anymore. They only need their leaders to sign off on the amount.
According to state-run Xinhua news agency, a report by Barclays Bank estimated that the Lushan quakes would lead to economic losses of more than 10 billion yen, a far cry from 169. The report expects authorities will spend between 100 to 200 billion yen on reconstruction efforts.
And coming up after the break, the family of this blind Chinese activist says harassment has intensified against them. Could Chen Guangcheng actually be premiering in China in May? And this theatre in Manhattan is named after him. And on Thursday, David Koch went there to see Shen Yun performing arts.
What has lasted 5,000 years was once almost lost. Now, the world awaits the divine culture's return. Shen Yun.
And welcome back. Blind Chinese activist Chen Guangcheng is now far away from security officials in Shandong Province. He recently testified in the U.S. Congress about the persecution he suffered in China. And now it looks like authorities there are taking it out on Chen's family back home.
It's been a year since blind Chinese lawyer Chen Guangcheng escaped the watchful eyes of security officials. He eventually made it to safety in the United States, but back home in eastern Shandong Province, Chen's family says things are getting worse.
On the night of April 18th, someone threw dead chickens and ducks into my house. The next evening, posters cursing Guangcheng and I were everywhere on the streets.
The assailants also pelted stones at Chen's home. He says this harassment continued for several days, and now the family is living in fear.
They said I collaborated with Japanese reporters to stir up trouble in the village. They called me a traitor and threatened to break my leg. They also threatened to harm my family. Their intention is very clear. Since Guangcheng is out of the country, they can do nothing about him, so they can only deal with his family.
Many believe the abuse is in response to Chen Guangcheng's testimony before the U.S. Congress on April 9th. He showed Congress a list of corrupt officials he said were responsible for persecuting him and his family. Some were also involved in, quote, 130,000 forced abortions.
The Communist Party uses these local rogues to produce red terror and put pressure on Chen Guangfu's family. This is a message of warning for Chen Guangcheng regarding his overseas actions and statements.
Chen Guangfu says authorities are now threatening to charge his wife. They've accused her of harboring a suspect, namely their son, Chen Guangcheng. He was sent to prison last November, accused of attacking officials who broke into his home and attacked his family on the night Chen Guangcheng escaped house arrest. Chen Guangcheng arrived in the U.S. last May with his wife and 2 children. The fellow at New York University has repeatedly called on Chinese authorities to stop harassing his family back home.
Yesterday was the 24th birthday of the 11th Panchen Lama. Those living outside Tibet recognized his birthday with cake and presents. But the affair was tinged with sadness, as the 11th Panchen Lama has been in custody for the last 18 years.
It looks like a funeral march. People burning incense, slowly marching to somber music, and placing offerings under the picture of their beloved. But this was not about someone's passing. Rather, Tibetans in exile in India marked the birthday of the Panchen Lama on April 25th. The little boy shown on this poster is the 11th Panchen Lama. He was taken by the Chinese regime when he was just 6 years old. He and his family disappeared after Tibet's spiritual leader, the Dalai Lama, named him as his successor. The Chinese regime has named its own successor to the Dalai Lama, but Tibetan Buddhists living outside China do not recognize Gyaltsen Nodabu as their leader. They are calling on the international community to pressure China into freeing the boy that was chosen by the Dalai Lama.
We were hoping that, in fact, we are requesting all the international community to pressurize China to release His Eminence, the Panchen Lama, and bring him to his rightful place, that is the Tashi-Lumbu Monastery in Tibet.
The Chinese regime claims it is holding the original Panchen Lama in protective custody to keep him from being taken into exile.
Several Chinese media are reporting that Django Unchained, Quentin Tarantino's savage tale of bloody revenge, will have a second chance in China. The movie was pulled during its first release on April 11th with little official explanation. Later accounts said it was due to technical reasons, but popular online speculations blamed brief images of nudity. Sony Pictures says it is not aware of the film's new release date. China Film Group has also denied to comment and has not listed it on its May releases. The exact time of the next release isn't fixed, but Chinese media is tentatively saying May 7th. Hollywood releases such as Iron Man 3 and Oblivion will also be debuting in May. This has worried some that these much-awaited films will overshadow Django Unchained's release. The rampant pirating and black markets for DVD may also affect audience turnout. Some microbloggers have said they already watched the full version in high definition online. Others say they have seen a pirated version and will not be going to the theaters to see the censored version. Shen Yun Performing Arts is currently playing at the David H. Koch Theatre at Lincoln Center in New York. Last night, Koch himself came to see the show and was inspired by the performance. Here's the story.
They're performing 11 shows at his theatre. On Thursday night, the man himself came to see Shen Yun Performing Arts.
It's inspirational. It put me in a good mood. I was charmed by the presentations, and I like to learn more about it in the future.
David H. Koch is the co-owner of Koch Industries, the second largest privately owned company in the U.S. He is well known for philanthropy in the field of the arts. In 2008, Koch pledged $100 million over 10 years to renovate the New York State Theatre at Lincoln Center. The theatre was then renamed in his honor.
I've been coming to this theatre for about 45 years, and my name is on the theatre. I'm very pleased that a company of this talent performs here, and their dance is exposed to New Yorkers, I think.
Koch says that this talent lies in the dancer's skill as well as other aspects of the show.
The athletic skill of the dancers is quite something. I love the backdrops, the beautiful painted scenes of China. It was wonderful, and it's an art form that I'm not familiar with, but I certainly loved it tonight.
What has lasted 5,000 years?
Shen Yun's mission is to revive 5,000 years of traditional Chinese culture, something that's been almost lost over the past several decades under communism in mainland China. Koch was appreciative to see Shen Yun display this ancient culture on stage.
I believe that the performance are traditional Chinese, and it's understand in mainland China that this type of performance is not possible. And I love that the traditional style of Chinese dancing, to the extent I know what it's about, and I hope to see more of it in the future.
Shen Yun will be performing at the David H. Koch Theatre at Lincoln Center until Sunday, April 28th. NTD News, New York.
And that's all for this broadcast of NTD China News. For more of our China content, visit our website at ntd.tv or subscribe to our YouTube channel, NTD on China. Coming up next is this week's episode of Discovering China. Stay tuned.